Hello. In this video, we're going to look at strings and some of the common methods you can apply to work with or manipulate strings. Here is a list of some of the common methods that we use when we're working with strings. In my example, I have a string, hello, I am a Boilermaker. And then I have each of those methods we saw in the list, printing out one at a time, one after the other. And we're just going to run them all at the same time so we can compare the outputs. So here in our console, we see all the outputs. Capitalize capitalizes just the first character of the string if it's a letter. If it's not a letter, capitalize won't do anything. Lower makes all letters lowercase. Upper makes all letters uppercase. Replace changes the words. So instead of I am, we now have you are. So we replaced I am with you are. Count finds the number of times the character appears. And so in my code, we were counting the letter E, and there are 3 E's. Find finds the first position that a character appears in. So I was looking for the comma, and the comma appears in position 5 in the string. It's the 6th character. Left strip and right strip and strip all remove white spaces from the ends of a string. So left strip removes any leading white space, right strip removes any trailing white space, and strip does both. Finally, split takes our string and turns it into a list. So split, I told it to split on the space. So every time there's a space, it created a new item in the list. So you can sort of see how that worked. Let me change the string just a little bit so we can see the strip and split features work a little differently. So I'm going to comment out all of these. And let's add some leading white space and some trailing white space so that we can see strip work. Alright, so here you see left strip took out all of the leading white space but kept the trailing white space. Right strip took out all the trailing white space but left the leading white space. And strip took out both. And now split, of course, since I added those spaces, added a lot of extra items to the list because all those spaces at the beginning and end of the string are now getting split also. So let me take out the space and let's just look at split one more time because you can split on anything you want. And so let's split on the letter E. So here I split on the character E, and so notice the E's all got removed, and then every time there was an E, we created a new item here in our list. So those are some of the methods we use to work with and manipulate strings. There's another common method that was in the list called join. And what join does is it takes a list and concatenates it basically, turns it into one long string. So if I have this list here, boiler up, hammer down, and I want that to be one string, I would join on the space. So here I have a space, and I have join the list. So what this will do is it will take every item in the list and put a space between it, and then join it. So let's print that out. So here, it took the list, put a space between the words, and printed it. You can put anything you want for the join. So I could put, let's say I put spam. So then instead of a space between the words, it put spam between the words. whether spam up, spam, hammer, spam, down. So join is another useful method if you have a list of strings that you want to put together into one string. Let's take a look at one more example where you might need to use some of these methods like find and count. I have a file that has the complete works of Shakespeare in them, which, as you can imagine, is quite large. So this line will open the text and read it into Python. And I'm just going to call this variable everything. That reads the whole file. So that variable contains one string that is all of the text in that file. And then let's do a count for the number of times that Romeo appears. And then let's also find the first position that Romeo appears in. And then I'll need to print, or here, I'll just do print and print. Alright, so that took a few seconds to process because the file's so long. But Romeo appears 155 times, and then the first appearance of Romeo is at the 4,199,134th character. Let's just do one more example with that. So let's count. Why don't we count thou? And then let's also count capital thou. Let's go ahead and label what we're doing here. So we'll count thou when it's capitalized, thou when it's not capitalized, which should return us different numbers because they're different strings. And then let's do the same. Alright, so we'll print those out. Oh, I'm missing a... I have one too many parentheses here. There we go. I ran into a problem where I used the quotation marks incorrectly. Okay, there we go. Alright, so lowercase thou is used 6,456 times. Uppercase thou is used 1,202 times. So there's some examples of methods we use with strings to help us find and manipulate strings. Another neat little challenge you could give yourself from this is to find the longest word in a file. If you have a text file on your computer, or if you can go download the complete works of Shakespeare for free. So there's a little bit about strings and the methods we can use to manipulate them. There are lots of other methods out there, and you can find those in the Python documentation.